Did God accept and condone the child sacrifice that Jepthah made of his own daughter in Judges chapter 11? This is a hotly debated topic because we find a fascinating situation where we have an explicit human child sacrifice made to Yahweh, and the question needs to be asked as to whether or not this was something that Yahweh was actually pleased with. Now, the backstory is that Jepthah is at war with the enemies of Israel. And it says that the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jepthah, and he passed through Gilead and Manasseh, and he passed on to Mizpah of Gilead. And from Mizpah of Gilead he passed on to the Ammonites. And Jepthah made a vow to the Lord and said, "If you will give the Ammonites into my hand, then whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return victorious from the Ammonites shall be the Lord's, to be offered up by me as a burnt offering." So Jepthah crossed over to the Ammonites to fight against them, and the Lord gave them into his hands. And for those who haven't read the rest of the story, when he gets home, his daughter runs out of the house to greet him, being the first thing out of the house, which means she is the thing that needs to be sacrificed as a burnt offering to the Lord. He wrongly assumed that it would be an animal, but it wasn't. So there's a couple questions that need to be answered here. Did God deliver the Ammonites into his hands, knowing that Jepthah was going to have to offer his daughter up as a sacrifice? Well, the answer must be yes, because God is all-knowing, and it literally says here that the Lord gave them into his hands, meaning it wasn't per chance that he won the battle. He won the battle because God was granting him the victory. This is something that the Lord did, knowing that this poor little girl was going to get sacrificed. He carries through with the vow anyways. It says after she mourned the fact that she was going to die a virgin, it says at the end of the 2 months she returned to her father, who did with her according to the vow that he made. So he had to execute his own daughter as a burnt offering to the Lord. So the final question that really should be asked here is, if God had enough power that he could give the Ammonites over in war to Jepthah, then did he not also have the same power to make sure that an animal came out of the house first, as opposed to his daughter? Why would God intervene in an entire war, but not intervene in this daughter coming out of the house so that she would get sacrificed? The only conclusion that could be made is that God is obviously okay with this child being sacrificed. And let's not forget the most valuable part of this equation, which is God knows everything. He knows the future, and that vow was made by Jepthah using the Spirit of the Lord. In the passage, it says the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jepthah, and then he made the vow because the Spirit of the Lord was upon him. And then God gave him the victory while he was under the Spirit of the Lord in war. So all of this, as far as we can tell, was not a problem for Yahweh.